The chamber of the Polish parliament is tense, sharpened by a sense of urgency that has been building throughout the morning. As lawmakers settle into their seats, the wide shot reveals Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski standing at the podium, shoulders squared, gaze fixed forward. His presence carries the weight of a government confronted with an escalating threat, one that has crossed a line Poland can no longer ignore. The hum of hushed conversations fades as he begins to speak, his tone cold, precise, and unmistakably forceful. The medium shot draws closer, capturing the intensity on Sikorski's face. For months, Poland has suspected Russian involvement in various subversive acts across its territory, but what happened just hours earlier has changed the country's posture entirely. A railway line in a small village just 100 kilometers southeast of Warsaw became the site of a calculated act. Not a technical failure, not a mere disruption, but something more deliberate, more dangerous, and infinitely more provocative. The images shift back to a wide view of the Parliament chamber as Sikorski continues. Members lean forward, some taking notes, others staring in disbelief. Then his strongest words cut through the room, words that will quickly echo far beyond Warsaw. This time it was not just an act of diversion like before, but an act of state terrorism, because the clear intention was to cause casualties. We will respond, and not only through diplomatic channels, as we will announce in the coming days. His declaration is met with a wave of murmurs, but no one seems surprised. The mood in Poland has been shifting for weeks, and today feels like a turning point. In the hours following the speech, the government's message crystallizes. Warsaw announces that it will close the last remaining Russian consulate on Polish soil, the one in Gdańsk. A symbolic step, yes, but also a strategic signal that the Polish state is drawing firm boundaries in its deteriorating relationship with Moscow. It is the end of a long diplomatic thread that remained only barely intact. With this closure, even that thread snaps. Across Warsaw, officials describe the sabotage as the culmination of a pattern: cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, unexplained disruptions, and now a physical attack designed to injure or kill civilians. The village where the tracks were targeted has become a symbol of Poland's vulnerability in this shadow war, and at the same time, its determination to confront it. Local residents, shaken but resolute, recount hearing an unusual noise along the tracks the night before. Investigators now comb through every piece of debris, searching for traces of the method used: explosives, tampering, or remote interference. As the voiceover continues, the camera transitions to the Polish parliament again. Sikorski's posture in the images reinforces what he has made clear. This is not an isolated moment, but part of a wider confrontation Europe is being forced to reckon with. In his view, Russia has moved from subversion to outright aggression. Many in the chamber share his assessment, understanding that Poland's position at the eastern flank of NATO places it directly in the line of hybrid operations. Beyond Parliament, security services elevate alerts nationwide. The Ministry of Interior deploys additional patrols near transportation networks, railways, bus terminals, and key highways. Counter-terrorism units begin assessing other vulnerable sites, aware that one attack often signals more to come. In the corridors of government buildings, discussions stretch late into the night about how Poland should calibrate its response. Sikorski's promise that retaliation will not be confined to diplomacy raises urgent questions. How far is Poland prepared to go? And how will Russia react when Warsaw makes its next move? The closure of the Russian consulate is therefore not only symbolic. It restricts Moscow's presence, reduces its operational footprint, and sends a message that Poland will no longer tolerate what it deems hostile activity disguised as diplomacy. In Gdańsk, the consulate's gates, once a site of routine administrative traffic from dual citizens, visitors and officials, now stand at the centre of geopolitical tension. Police vehicles line the street, monitoring every movement. Journalists gather outside, capturing reactions from residents who say the city feels suddenly closer to the front lines of a political standoff. As the minutes unfold, the voiceover draws viewers into the broader European context. Across the continent, governments are recalibrating their security frameworks. The war in Ukraine has emboldened fears of spillover aggression, and incidents like the sabotage in Poland hint at tactics that fall below the threshold of open warfare, but remain dangerously destabilizing. European intelligence agencies have long warned that Russia uses such operations to test the resolve of its neighbours, probe vulnerabilities, and send messages without engaging in direct conflict. Poland, however, is making it clear it will no longer absorb these blows in silence. Returning to the Parliament visuals, the camera lingers once more on Sikorski. His language is measured but fierce, reflecting not only his role as foreign minister, but also the broader sentiment within Polish society. Many citizens see this sabotage as confirmation of something they have feared for years, that Russia is willing to endanger lives inside Poland's borders. For a country that has endured centuries of geopolitical pressure, the notion of external threats is not new, but in the digital era, where lines between espionage, cyber warfare and terrorism blur, the stakes feel different, more unpredictable. The narrative extends into an analysis of Russia's potential motivations. While Moscow denies involvement in previous incidents, experts note patterns consistent with state-sponsored sabotage. Railway lines are critical infrastructure, essential for civilian mobility and military logistics. Disrupting them can produce chaos, economic strain and political unease. If the intention was, as Sikorski said, to cause casualties, then the act represents a level of escalation Poland cannot ignore. Throughout the script, the voiceover emphasizes how the sabotage has reshaped diplomatic relations. With the last Russian consulate closed, exchanges between the two countries will now move exclusively through embassies in third countries or through multilateral forums. This marks one of the most severe breakdowns in Polish-Russian relations since the end of the Cold War. Experts describe it as a new phase, one defined by confrontation rather than containment. Meanwhile, the village where the sabotage occurred becomes a focal point of national coverage. Reporters gather along the damaged line, pointing to the stretch of track where the tampering occurred. Engineers work methodically, inspecting bolts, sensors and communication systems. The air carries a mix of diesel, metal and unease. For the villagers, the sight of investigators, soldiers and rescue teams serves as a stark reminder of how close the attack came to claiming lives. As the video's voiceover reaches deeper into the political undercurrents, it highlights the reaction from Poland's allies. NATO expresses solidarity. European leaders condemn the sabotage. Discussions begin about enhancing railway surveillance across the continent, reinforcing infrastructure and sharing intelligence more aggressively. Poland's stance, firm, unambiguous and uncompromising, quickly shapes the regional response. Back in Warsaw, Sikorski's words replay across television networks and online platforms. Analysts dissect every sentence, focusing in particular on his remark that Poland's response will not be limited to diplomatic measures. Some speculate this could involve sanctions, expulsions of additional Russian officials, or even coordinated security actions with allies. Others warn that retaliation must be carefully calibrated to avoid further escalation. As the script continues, the tone remains steady, reflective and investigative, typical of a long-form journalist voiceover. It details the atmosphere inside the parliament, the mood across the nation, and the implications for the months to come. Poland's history shapes its reaction. A country repeatedly targeted and partitioned over centuries, now asserting a modern stance against threats it categorizes as hybrid warfare. Sikorski's speech marks a milestone, signalling not only national resolve, but a broader shift in how Europe perceives the dangers posed by state-sponsored sabotage. The closing portion of the 1922 narrative turns introspective, reinforcing the central question that now hangs over Poland: what comes next? The consulate closure is immediate and decisive, but it is only the first step. The promise of further action creates anticipation and anxiety across diplomatic circles. Citizens watch closely, aware that whatever Poland announces in the coming days could redefine its security posture for years. Through the last sequence of images, Parliament scenes, the village railway and the Gdańsk consulate, the story settles into a conclusion that reflects the tone of the day, sober, resolute and deeply aware of the risks ahead. The act described by Sikorski has shifted Poland's diplomatic landscape, and the nation now stands at the threshold of choices that will shape its future relationship with Russia. One attack has turned into a diplomatic rupture, and one speech has become a national turning point. And as the final seconds of the voiceover pass, the viewer is left with the same clarity that Sikorski delivered in Parliament. Poland is not backing down. It is preparing its response, and the world is watching.
Szanowny Panie Marszałku, spalono flagę Unii Europejskiej, a pan prezydent w swoim wystąpieniu dla Polki i dla każdego Polaka. Niestety, tym razem był to akt nie tylko dywersji jak poprzednio, lecz akt terroru państwowego, gdyż jasną intencją było spowodowanie ofiar w ludziach. Spotka się to z naszą odpowiedzią, nie tylko dyplomatyczną, o czym będziemy informować w najbliższych dniach. Polki